Hello, we welcome you all to the fresh episode of Bukaru, where we are going to discuss the book Nawabgunj, which is the translation of Jhelum Trivedi's poems with the same name. And these translations have been done by Moulinath Goswami. I'm going to read a few lines from the poem Elegy. To the Ganges, she goes every day. To the Ganges goes a salwar, a cheap, coldish sunlight wanes on the leaves of holy fig tree. There, the girls return from school, dewdrops drip on flutes. She's the only one who doesn't know math. Slowly and slowly she goes down. The splash of water calls. Last step of the ghat, dense blue by the feet. Water in every drop. Malice grovels at the sole of her feet. Slowly and slow the girl goes down into the river. Yet I stay alive, and here I have returned the road I had walked, tracing her hair braids like an old neighborhood, a girl with whose of the ended night, who killed herself because winter was about to arrive. And while I was thinking why I chose this poem, I was thinking of the imagery that this poem has of the girl now going into the river, and the surprise element the line holds, and the anticipation of something grave that is going to happen. The dramatic element of each of the poems that this compilation has, it is so arresting. What do you think, Larry?
Well, first of all, I think this is what good poetry does to us, because our viewers don't know that you are Amanita and I'm Barit Baran. So good poetry makes us forget a lot of mundane things.
Yeah.
But as you have read it out, and I personally believe that, it is a landscape of visions that she is painted. And via the translation, that vision is actually emerging as a reality in front of your eyes, which makes us believe more in the poetry of Jhelum Trivedi.
The solemnity in her poems, I think that is also a very marked feature. And you always know that the words have something deeper in their sense. And the joy of discovering what is the meaning behind the apparently simple words. And this expression especially, who killed herself because winter was about to arrive. How a difficult season can make us fearful. Do we all not go through that universal sense of fear? And in anticipation of that, we are so afraid and so scared that we take steps that are probably not right.
You see, you're absolutely right. As you say that, the poem actually it's kind of, it paints what we actually do and what we don't do, what we want to do and what we don't want to do. It's a matrix. And it is that matrix where fear is an element, where despondency is an element, where even love is also an element.
Of course.
And I think what you have just read so beautifully has actually brought out. Now, Jhelum Trivedi being a woman, what happens, most of her poetry has an overlay of the way a woman looks at the world. Not necessarily that she is a feminist, I'm not even saying that. But at the same time, you can feel that if you place Jhelum Trivedi's poetry against an Indian background, then it becomes so very relevant. you know. So at that relevance, I found in another poem. Allow me to read it.
Please.
It's called And Then. Every day, slowly, very slowly, the day breaks every day. In the damp, wintry room, unwashed dishes under the faucet, soak in the morning sun, again filling up the empty bottles, millions of spices, and deep inside, grinding the soul on the same stone and the mala. And the mala in Bengali, stone and mala is what do you call?
Shilnora.
Shilnora. Then rice, lentils, mashed potatoes, and omelets, drying clothes on the clothesline, learning or leaving tears to dry. This particular poem, and then I find that there's a shade of Sisyphus in it. It's very Sisyphean in certain parts. Now, as I said that, all the important, significant nothings the poet tries to bring out here in a woman's life every day. There could be possibly a patriarchal male chauvinism at somewhere down the line, but she's not hating the significant nothings, as so rightly, I quote a line from Macbeth, tomorrow, 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 life is like a walking shadow, signifying nothing, N with a capital N. So nothing becomes an entity here in the life of the poet, of a woman, and that's probably what she's trying to portray. And
here I would like to mention how the tone of the poems are very Bengali, and the words she has used, I feel are almost impossible to translate. But here I think the translator has done a wonderful job of bringing the essence of the Bengali words in a language that is so foreign, and the sensibility almost merge for each of the poem, and that is exactly why I think we should pick up the book to read, only to see how the universal feelings of this the emotions that you talked about, love and jealousy and longing and all others, they are so universal. And for me to enjoy a poem, a film, a book, the feelings have to be universal. They have to ring a bell inside me. They have to evoke the same emotion that the poet wants to convey to the readers. So
no, you are very right. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt. You're very right, because in terms of the translation here, as I understand translation, there are two ways of looking at it. One is that, you transcreate, one is you transliterate. Now, when you're transliterating, actually, when a translator has to keep in mind that whoever is translating some literary work, the voice of the author must never be diluted.
Right, absolutely.
In translation. But in verse, as you've said that, there are some very difficult Bengali words.
Yes.
That do not have a cousin in English.
Yes. And both of us being Bengalis,
yes.
we know how difficult
it is.
Yeah.
And they do not have a cousin in English. So naturally, for Moulinath to do that so efficiently is quite commendable.
Yes, totally. I would like to read this poem, At the Break of Dawn. At the break of dawn walks my father along the paths of Polta Park, sad-hued soldiers on a green-colored field, legs rising in the air, legs coming down with the breeze. How she creates a scene with few words, and yet you are totally alive to the senses.
You are quite right, because as we were discussing earlier, Jhelum's poems do paint immediately if you are connecting with the piece.
Yes.
It presents you with a certain atmosphere. And, the fact is, what I like about it is that atmosphere is so next door. It's so next door. I mean, you see it every day, you feel it every day, but you
Right.
don't talk about it every day. You only enjoy it, you hate it, or you burn it or condemn it.
Right.
But that's what we do every day.
And in this poem, Granth Sahib, I find a voice that I can only compare with that of Meera's, a devotee, a pure devotee who is talking to Guru Nanak. Granth Sahib, it's a beautiful poem, and I wish to read a few
Please.
lines. Inside the Gurdwara, they chant in soft cadence the Granth Sahib. What are they reading about? Of confluence? The eternal, rimless affability of people embracing people. And then in the end, gradually, the entire neighborhood turns into a hymn. Like a river, the colony, opulent clouds atop terraces, knights conversing among themselves. Will you cradle me to sleep in your lap, Nanak? I think this is a line of ultimate devotion.
Yes.
How the devotee wants to be one with the God.
Yes.
And this is how she is expressing her pure love for the Guru.
Yes, because I find this particular poem, Granth Sahib, first of all, it's not religion based. I mean, someone might just say that,
No, not at all.
the poetess could possibly be a Sikh. But the poetess is a Bengali living in the outskirts of Kolkata. And if the same poet has produced a poem like Nawabgunj, so I think that Jhelum Trivedi actually is a transcendental poet. How effortlessly, how easily, how calmly she transcends borders of certain, understandings of life. Like Granth Sahib it's so pleasantly shocking. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine that a Bengali poetess, I think this is the first time a Bengali poet has written about Granth Sahib.
Not to our
Somehow.
knowledge.
Yeah, not to our knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the courage of the poet, but the point is how far the mind can race and reach and talk about it. She actually, which you rightly said some time ago, that you can close your eyes and you can visualize Guru Nanak now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that atmosphere, that, what do you call, the ambient crossing of borders
Yes.
actually is what is the hallmark of Jhelum Trivedi's
Right.
poetry.
And she writes passionately about the people. And you can make out from the poems that she really wants to write about what she feels about the people, like the poem in Mirza Ghalib, and Kalpana Chawla. I think both the poems are beautifully
Okay, I'll read Mirza Ghalib for you.
Okay, yeah.
Mirza Ghalib, I found three very distinct characteristics of the poem. The first stanza, it says that, I am little less than happiness, a little more than sorrow. Come hither to auction my pain. How I interpret this as that the poet here is attaching no value to pain. Pain cannot be valued, so she doesn't have the pain. I mean, she's conquered all pain and desires. That's what I felt that, this line, come hither to auction my pain. And then in the third stanza, in the first stanza, this was this thing in the opening stanza. The third stanza, she says, how's my friend there in confined observation? How bleak my home, and the bosom of my listless lies. She understands now that the lies are listless, because when lies are listless, they are no longer lies. So there's an element of truth that comes into just saying that, listless lies don't have any power to kind of overcome the poem. So it's pursuit of truth. The second characteristics, and the third that I felt was really the end line, which is adding a lot of punch to the poem. I'm guilty of a rare offense. My signs have much surpassed my own self. Now, here, this particular line, pervades the metaphysical realm beyond earthly sufferings.
Right. True.
And basically, when I read this poem, I went up and down, up and down, up and down, and deep inside, I felt that there was a certain stimulation or upheaval,
Right.
because each stanza was taking me elsewhere and then bringing back to the roots of the whole thing,
Right.
of pursuit of truth.
Right. You rightly said, it is kind of a physical sensation for us. And for me, while I was reading the poems, I thought it is actually connecting me to the cause of my relationship with poetry to grow over the last few years. It is kind of relating me to the cause why I read poetry. Why is it so? Why do I read? It's like I want to know the deeper meanings of the words that sound so simple, that sound so innocuous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her poems always offer us that. You know that it is not as innocent as they sound. They have that surprise element. They bear a lot of weight in them. And it's like, oh, what is she going to say next? She can create that interest in her
that
readers.
intrigue, even
Yes.
that intrigue.
Yes.
But the point that I'd like to make to my readers, that a poem can be interpreted probably in 10,000 different ways. One that strikes you as extraordinary can be very mundane or everyday for me, and vice versa. But Jhelum Trivedi is, she, if you have noticed, I'm sure you have, that she has this uncanny ability to use common words
Yes.
and place them and juxtapose them in a particular sentence in such a manner
Yes.
that as you said, that what otherwise was innocuous
Yes.
suddenly assumes a minefield of meaning.
Right. The surprise element.
Yes.
She will never fail to surprise her readers.
Absolutely.
It's like,
Absolutely.
oh, wow. She evokes that feelings in us. Like in this poem, the leaves fall, they fall all day. Grandma sweeps and gathers more than the leaves. More.
Yes.
You are struck by this word more here. What more does
Absolutely.
grandma sweep than the leaves? Something more than leaves, the grandmother gathers and gathers. The night piles up with leaves. There will be a bonfire tonight. People will warm their bodies and dry their wounds. How beautiful is the expression?
It's very, very lucid,
Yes.
I mean, it's like the strumming of a beautiful symphony on the sitar. That's,
Yeah, the book has long poems, Nawabgunj, which I would like the readers would read themselves.
Yes.
We are not going to read for them, but I would like to read out the translator's note, because he explains the name of the book, the title of the book, so well, and I think it carries the crux of the book itself, of the meaning of the book itself. Like he says, this is planet Nawabgunj, a universe whose flow in time is synonymous with the evolution of the poet as a human being. This is the small-time Mufassil by the Ganges, whose familiar faces have torn her apart, whose unfamiliar faces have embraced her with unwarranted warmth in her journey of life, whose fauna, flora, and sundry other inanimate objects have blessed her with profound insights to life. This is the country whose sights and sounds have reveled in her senses, urging her to draw introspective parallels between past and present, and to capture with her intricate pen and sublime imagination the intriguing gamut of pain, pathos, separation, love, joy, and serendipity that Nawabgunj has offered her. It quite summarizes the poems that we see in
and why these poems are.
Why these poems are. Which makes me believe that all of us carry a Nawabgunj within us. The kind of place where we can feel it all. It is also a go-to place for us for the light, the sound, the quietness it offers. And all of it we could feel from the poems in this volume.
Absolutely. When I went through Nawabgunj, and I felt as if I was a child looking into a kaleidoscope.
Right.
The small twists of my hand or the fingers, absolutely new beautiful patterns are forming right in front of my eyes. But the fact is, I cannot touch those patterns. I can only see and feel them. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Nawabgunj is doing to me. Mm-hmm. It's like a software. I can see it, I can feel it, but I can't touch it.
So since you mentioned child, I would like to read the poem Child. Incomparable. There stand two little unruffled men, breaking off from the play school and from the oafish school-time jealousies. Two men ride a boat across the afternoon. Ambling far into the distant noon, pieces of pullover, the blue sky, colored pieces of mittens frolic with their cherubic faces. Again, you see the call of the distant, yet you know it is so near to us. And how a Mofussil town of Ganges can bind us all together. We all live in different places, but there is this kind of ambience of what we say in Bengali, chuti, the holiday. And we all carry that sense of rest, peace, joy, warmth from the lines of the poems.
Yeah, I mean, that's what she does with such, fantastic elan and ease. The ease of writing comes out very clearly in her poems. There's one more poem that has struck me as...
No, but before you go to another poem, Barita, this poem, I did not read the last part of it, which mentions these Palestinian children. Mm-hmm. And here the poet is very responsibly focusing our attention to what we need to focus right now. Poets have this grave responsibilities of showing the world what needs to be shown right now with the words, with this war and struggle going on everywhere. This topic should come in the poems. And yes, here she is a responsible poet and a person who's sensitive to these news that bomb our feet.
I read once upon a time that poetry, in its most purest form, is not just narration of human history, but it is also the gateman of human history.
Right.
The Palestinian issue that she's talked about here. Obviously. We have all taken a cue from our predecessors, other poets. For example, Allen Ginsberg. His beat poetry kind of, took the dome of the White House at some point in time. Charles Bukowski, Pablo Neruda. It's the voice of the people. Poetry is always, I always feel that no matter which side you take, the poet is always righteous. he's always right, yes, about, or she's always right, yes, about what he or she is saying. So, which brings me to another poem called Birth. Now, Birth is a poem I felt that it is a conflict between two different paradigms of life. Let me read the opening stanza for you. Here we stand in the moonlight, the pregnant winter night leaves the silent trail of eternal melancholy. If it strikes you, the pregnant winter night, a pregnant winter night is a possibility, talks about possibilities, right? But the conflict is that leaves a silent trail of eternal melancholy. How beautifully, how effortlessly, and with such facility that she has been able to bring two different paradigms into just two lines of this verse to expose the conflicts that we face every day.
Yes. Yes.
And then, what also struck me as absolutely extraordinary was the last line. I shall turn into a song once I meet my death. When you sing, we sing paeans to birth. So which means that with death comes the significance of life. Life can only be completed with death because death begets life. And that's what she so nicely, with using metaphors, I shall turn into a song once it's a figure of speech. I shall turn into a song once I meet my death. In the sense that, she's talking about rebirth.
Yes, and you rightly mentioned about the theme of death in her poems. I think it is a recurrent theme, like I found in this poem, where she writes in the last stanza, Baba, fists clenched behind his back, walks up into the parting of my mother's hair and dissolves. Here she mentions about the wedding symbol, as the sindoor on the women's head, walks up into the parting of my mother's hair and dissolves. And yet here I am, Ma, Baba, I, and some trees like scattered sorrow. How beautiful. Leaving the body by the ghat, the mind merges into the Ganges. Birthday tolls like death. Exactly the you said.
Thanks, Amanita. It was wonderful discussing Jhelum Trivedi's poems with you.
Thank you, Bharita.
Yeah, and I hope our readers have enjoyed the discussion. We'll see you next time very soon. Take care. Be happy.